my dad was an artist and he's no longer here, but I still have his art pieces and, something to remember him by. So I like to think like one day when I'm not here anymore, my kids and grandkids will be able to listen to my music. Some of them might be a bit awkward.
Let me find out. Grandma was hot. Let me find out. Is this you, Grandma?
Yeah.
Today on Loves Music, back for a second time, we have Dareen. Dareen joined me on episode 2 when she was just getting back into music after a long hiatus. Now, a year later, she has completed a full studio album entitled Goddess. Dark, ethereal, pop, moody sound. Really cool, really excited about this project, and I'm happy to have her on the podcast today. If you enjoy what you've been listening to so far, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and please tell somebody who loves music. Up next, all the way from Greece, we have Dareen. Dareen, welcome back. It's so nice to have you back to Loves Music. You've been very busy, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Thanks so much for having me again. 1 year in, pretty much.
Yeah, you're right. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary. I keep thinking back. You're always going to have a soft spot in my heart. You were episode number 2, if anybody wants to check that out as well. But like you said, so much has happened since then. We're going to unwrap it all. But talk to me about this album. Goddess is incredible. I think you did such a top tier job on this album. Take me to... I want to riff about the album, but I want you to start and tell me about this project, and I'll give you my feedback.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The album, it took me by surprise, to be honest with you. I think when I started releasing the songs, I didn't quite realize it was going to be an album, because in between the album, EPs came out and things didn't come up quite chronologically. But as I was releasing the songs, I realized, okay, there's a theme with every single stage of these songs, and they all belong somewhere grouped together. So, yeah, the song Goddess came about, and that released last year. But when I released the Goddess single, I thought, okay, this is definitely a theme for an album, especially that power was within that realm, and it was released last year in October. And I felt like there is a complete story forming within my songs and what I'm trying to say. And the more I sat on the songs and listened to them together, the more I was feeling like there is a complete body of work here that should be put together.
Yeah.
And it came quite spontaneous, to be honest. It wasn't planned to be an album, but it became one.
So when you sent it to me, I started, because I heard the songs like over the last year or so as they were kind of leaking out. And then to hear it as a cohesive project, it was like hearing those songs again for the first time, like within the context of the album. And it's everything you said. It's women empowerment, but it's also like a delicate femininity. And you juxtapose the two perfectly. Like it's a call for women to kind of like own their womanhood and be powerful. And then there's also like this like sensuality in a very like tasteful way. And then it's like blanketed in these like dark ethereal sounds. I was like, what would the genre to this album be? Like adult electro goth pop, I guess.
I wish I knew the answer to that question. Yeah, that's the difficult part, is like trying to market an album that doesn't have a very clear genre is like alternative, I guess.
Yeah.
Works, but yes, it is exactly that. It's, it's female empowerment, but also exploring the different themes and paths of femininity, from like, recognizing your power and the goddess within you.
Yes.
To going through the stages of like accepting what society wants to see you as, accepting it, rejecting it, going through the motions, falling in love, falling out of love. It's everything, okay, it's not everything there is to say about being a woman, but it's not just one particular aspect of it. I tried to make it like a journey.
And it's like there's this weird thing where if you're like too pro woman, you're anti man, and it's not that. It's a very romantic album, almost like celebrating like love and relationships, and the dynamic of just connecting with each other.
I was having this thought as I was getting ready for this podcast and just thinking like, it's more about a stand against patriarchy than men. Like, not all men are patriarchal men, right? And I have great relationships with the men in my life, my husband, my brother, my father, cousins, whatnot. So it's just understanding that we can celebrate ourselves as women within the context of like still being able to have love and celebrate that.
And I think the third pillar of the album, so if you say, all right, we're going to celebrate women and their empowerment, we're going to celebrate the actually delicate femininity side of women. And then like that middle pillar is actually the vulnerability, which I don't think is just women. That's all, we all wrestle with insecurities. And I think you touched on that too, in terms when you have songs like Good Enough, What's Wrong With Me. It's kind of looking inward and being like, hey, I can also be powerful in the midst of like little episodes of self-doubt here and there. Is that an accurate assumption?
For sure. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't go through periods of self-doubt. And that's also something I wanted to show is like, you can be this powerful goddess, as an archetype, and yet still struggle with insecurities. It's like, even when you read the Greek mythology, for example, the gods, they had their jealousy issues, their insecurities, like all of the things we struggle with as humans, they also struggled with. So I think it's just a universal experience, whether you're divine or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they say we're made in their image, right? So of all those songs, if you were to go to a label and say, this is the single, like this is the one we're going to put all the resources behind, which song do you think that is?
I think Power has quite a strong, repeatability in the chorus and the bridge, and people have connected with it quite well. It's one of my favorites. I tried to write it like with the mind. Imagine a Scorpio makes a song. I don't know how much into astrology you are.
Imagine a Scorpio makes a song. Do explain.
Like not a scorpion, literal one, but a Scorpio.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So, all the little hiding in the shadows and knowing all the secrets and wanting the power, So I was trying to embody that in a song. I did ask actually this question, not exactly this question, from people who heard the album, like, what song should I focus on pushing the most in terms of promo? And Power, The Villain, and Cleopatra were quite popular.
Yeah. I listened to the whole album all the way through. Went back to Cleopatra, and it reminded, it doesn't sound like it, but it reminded me of the Kanye song Fade a little bit. Like that bass line was so nasty. It had its hook in me. So I listened to Cleopatra, and then I just kind of let the album run because I had a little bit of a drive. Then I came back to Power, and I'm like, I think Power is the one. It's the trap drums, the repeatability, like you said, the accessibility. Like it's a simpler song, in terms of not being as complex. Like you can just kind of sing along with it. I'll tell you what I like the most about Power, and you do this on a couple other visuals. But Power is the one song on the project where the music, you, and the visual are completely aligned. First off, you look sensational in the video and the visuals. So
thank you very much.
I mean that respectfully. You look fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're having these straightforward shots with these like stoic looks into the camera. And I was like, if you were to introduce yourself to the world, that song, those images, were you like, did you feel powerful when you were shooting that video? Because the images are striking.
Yes and no. We filmed twice. So the first time I was new to being filmed in that context by someone that was a friend, but when we didn't know each other that well. Like,
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen the In Disguise video, but that was shot by my cousin. So we were all comfortable there.
Right.
This obviously is a much more professional production, let's say. So the first time round, I definitely struggled with just, first of all, feeling comfortable on camera. And secondly, keeping my composure when my nose was itching or the hair flew in my face, you know?
Yes.
And then for the second time round, he gave me feedback. He was like, please stay in character. So I tried that. So I feel like the second time round, I felt much more powerful and like I tried stepping into the role. So I would say, yeah, it's you know, it's definitely practice when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, it felt good to feel comfortable with the person who filmed me. And the scenery was beautiful. So I just do like, no matter what, the background's going to do the job for me.
Yeah. I mean, the visual aesthetic, the song, it's like it. I wonder if you, because I have those moments, very few and far between when I'm doing music, and I just feel like everything just clicked. Like, oh, this is how I saw it in my head or heard it, and this is how it came out. That happens like maybe like once every 12 songs. Like, you know, it just comes out what I feels perfect. And I feel like I don't want to tell you how you feel, but it feels like that was a moment for you that like everything came together, like the song, the visual.
There was one particular moment where I was standing on a rock and I was looking directly at the Olympus mountain, which is the Olympus mountain from the mythology.
Yeah.
I was, you know, staring at it and lip syncing, worship me, the air I breathe. And that felt so aligned and like, wow, okay. Yeah. You know, this, exactly what you described, all of this perfectly working together. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah.
I am pretty proud and like, I'm a bit bummed that the video isn't doing better. So if anyone's listening, please watch it.
Yeah. Yes. Watch Power, stream it on all platforms, YouTube, hey, and if you really do like it, share it too. So we can try to run the numbers up on this awesome project. Obviously it feels like at first glance, it feels like, or first listen, it feels like, you know, an album written by a woman for a woman. As a music lover, certainly I can enjoy it. How do you feel like a guy is supposed to listen to this album and walk away for it? Or how would you want men to be impacted by this album? Because it's certainly not just for women.
I would like them to listen to the lyrics, like mainly, you know, just to understand the perspective of being a woman in this world. And I'm trying to make some things quite plain and then some others more metaphorical. So yeah, like just, you know, approach it with an open mind and listen to it for a female perspective, which isn't trying to blame anyone. Like when you listen to Goddess, you might feel that way, but I'm not talking directly at men. I'm talking at patriarchy.
Okay.
You know, so also just, you know, you can dance to some songs and just enjoy it for the vibes as well.
Yes.
But if you wanted to properly experience the album in like the way I intended, it's try to look beyond the basic lyrics. So if you listen to Cleopatra, you have to listen to the verses to understand the chorus. Because if you just hear the word sexy, you might be expecting and mean something completely different than the song is about.
Yeah, and that's a good too. I don't want to misrepresent the album too, because I don't want people to feel like it's so heavy. It really is. Like there's an air of like fun. It's still a very entertaining album. You know what I mean? It's not like message over experience. It's like you can just sit and hang with the album, and it's just great. It's a great album.
Yeah. Like you can listen to it for the lyrics, but you can also listen to it for the vibes.
What she said, you know, like you said it a lot more eloquently and concise. So it was funny because when I was listening to our previous interview, episode 2, it just dawned on me, you were actually coming off of a hiatus, right? So for everybody else's timeline, you had just gotten back into music in July. Fast forward 7 months, we do an interview where you might have had 4 songs recorded or something like that. You didn't have a ton of content out. So this is the culmination of like a solid year of work, you know? And so that's why it feels like such like a full circle moment. What was your perspective a year ago in terms of like making music, being sure of yourself, just kind of getting your footing under you? Because it's not like riding a bike. It's like you kind of got to get the rust off you, when you're coming off a hiatus. What's your perspective and your approach to doing music now versus when we spoke a year ago?
Something I said in the last podcast was that I needed to get some songs out of me. And I did. And I feel like I've done that quite a lot. And I've put out the music that was sort of brewing. And now I can approach my next step and next project a little bit more planned. Because like I said, the songs didn't come out chronologically. Like when we spoke, The Villain was already out. But then what followed after Villain was an EP of music that came for the EP Did You Miss Me? Right? Which dropped this Valentine's Day. So it would feel almost like different singles for different projects all coming out at the same time. But obviously they didn't all fit together in the same mood. Hence why I decided to split it that way and group them together so everybody can have an experience depending on what mood they're in. Okay. But now I feel like I have this clean slate that my next project, I can sit down, think about exactly what I want to do it and plan it and be more strategic about it.
Okay.
So I feel I guess I would say the difference in making music is I feel less chaotic and I can approach it more structured.
I like the idea of a blank canvas. I always feel like your first album after a while is almost by default autobiographical. So it's kind of like things are happening to you. You're getting inspired. Things are happening. You're hearing other influences, and that's kind of like informing the project as well. So your first album is always just like, all right, here's who I am now, one way or the other, unless it's like specifically like a concept album. And it feels like this feels like a snapshot of like, okay, this is me. This is how I feel. This is what was going on in the last 18 months, And then once you expel that album, let it marinate in the world. Now you can be like, okay, what do I actually want to make now? And that, I think you have to be an artist to actually understand that mind shift. Like if you don't make music, you'd be like, what do you mean? Don't you just write songs? Like,
yeah, no, for sure. And especially with my album being quite eclectic genre wise, I need to like decide because I've been dabbling with different types. And I mean, I don't need to decide, but I think I kind of want to now take a direction and pick one. And I'm not quite sure what that will be, but I'm also hoping that this will show me what people want from me and what they enjoy from me the most, so I can focus more on that. And not to say I'm only making music based on people's preferences, because I also make it for myself. But it's good to give people what they want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if it's the music business, then you're a salesperson, you're a business owner, and part of it is, and unfortunately client feedback is a part of it. So when you talk about trying to get into try to pick a lane, I mean, there's a lot of things that you do well, right? Like, so you do have a timeless sound, right? And you're not like a belting R&B singer. You're more, I think it is more like an electro pop sound, less Whitney Houston, more say J-Lo, who has like a softer voice, and the vocals serve the composition, and they have this like cool symbiotic relationship where the voice is like another instrument in the mix, and it's a whole, I guess, just energy, as opposed to a featured vocalist where the track is secondary. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah, for sure. I know, like that's something I've been sometimes thinking about. Is like certain people with these big, amazing voices, that's it. That's the song. Like, of course, the melody, the lyrics and everything also matters, but their voices are just so great to listen to that it makes the song, right?
Yeah.
But also if they try to sing like a basic pop song, it just doesn't do them justice.
Correct. You're exactly right.
And I feel like I don't fall in that category, which is fine. But yeah, it's like it's making the music to be like a vibe more. And, there is a message, of course. But yeah, like you said, it's almost another instrument and it just creates a different kind of poppy experience.
But there's people doing that and they're making great albums. Like, are you a fan of Nessa Barrett at all?
I mean, I've heard her music, but it's not someone that I'm super familiar with.
Mitski, you familiar with her?
Also, not like.
I have these like obscure references.
No, I mean it's I should probably listen to, but
well, the low hanging fruit I would say is like Lana, but I think Lana's doing something a little different than what you're doing. But like Lana feels like a whole character within a composition,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, can she solo? Yes, but I think she's creating a character. That character is then in an environment, and you're a part of a narrative as opposed to it being a featured vocalist. And Lana also sells a whole bunch of records.
Hard for me to now. I just think of the top of my mind, but I would say even Madonna.
That's a great
Madonna
example.
is a timeless artist. And she isn't the strongest vocalist. Like, she has a great voice, but I cannot see her singing "I Will Always Love You."
Sure, great example. Yeah.
And yeah, like she's explored different types of music throughout her very long-lasting career, and she's always coming up with new and fresh things. So, yeah, there's definitely a space in music for various kinds of capabilities and vocals.
And something that your music does do really well is it transfers very well to electronic. Like, I can already almost like hear the club mix of Power, and I can hear like the EDM remix of Goddess. Like I hear it already. I'm like, they could just like soup up the EDM and add another drum, and like now you got a club hit, like
I mean, yeah, like when Misunderstanding came out, some people were like, "Oh, I kind of wish it went into some drum and bass eventually." I would love that. Not that I know how to do it, but if anyone wants to, hit me up.
Yeah, right. Any DJs listening to love music right now, we'll commission you for the club mix. All right, so let's switch gears. I want to talk a little bit more about you. Like, what were some of the bigger challenges you had doing this album? Either internally or extrinsically.
I wanted to have this album out by a specific date, and I got a bit optimistic with said date. And yeah, just like making sure that everything is done and mixed and finished. And, I guess it happens to all of us. Like, there are some parts of certain songs that I wish now in retrospect they could have been done better. But then again, I just don't want to be, this person who procrastinates over perfectionism. Which, might be to my detriment sometimes not. But yeah, it's just, I guess, putting out a product that you're happy and satisfied with, but also within your budget and equipment, accessibility, everything combined. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest challenge for me at this point. Like, I would like to level up the sound, but I don't really have like in my close vicinity, there isn't anywhere where I could record in like a proper professional studio.
Got it. Yeah, I can see that being challenging. Yeah. And in terms of perfectionism, I mean, what artist hasn't sat there like, I don't think the song's ready? And everyone around you is like, this is a great song. And you're like, I don't know. And it's like, they're so precious to you. You don't want to like release them into the wild until they're exactly, but otherwise they would just sit on our hard drive. So we got to release them,
For sure. And, it's like, I don't have yet the full technical knowledge of, let's say, mixing or production to always be able to convey exactly what I want. And sometimes what I want might not even be possible.
Right.
So I guess that's sometimes a struggle too, is like trying to explain it to the person I'm working with and then having it turn out exactly how it is in my head to actually sound like that. So that's just, I guess a part of me learning and working more and just learning the craft.
So, in the short term and both the long term, how would you define success, either with this project or just music in general? Like, what do you want to see happen in, say, 3 months? What do you want to see happen in 3 years?
Yeah, I ask this question a lot on my own podcast, and when it's time for me to answer, I draw a blank.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's it's what I was saying quite recently is, where do you find the sweet spot in between where you are right now and having, I'm just thinking who's the biggest star right now. Let's say Taylor Swift fame, right? And just figuring out what that kind of level of medium success looks like, because I feel like I don't think I would want to be at those levels, but then again, I guess it could be amazing.
Right.
But yeah, so to answer your question without going around about it, in the next 3 months, I guess I'd love for my album to get good ears on it and resonate with people, for it to be actually heard and have that opportunity. I mean, I was hoping to have gotten on an editorial playlist, but that didn't happen. So I don't know if that still could. But yeah, I would love to play some more shows, especially this summer. I did have my album release party last month. So I really enjoyed that and would love to see more shows come up in like the next 3 months, as you mentioned. But as far as 3-year plan, in the next 3 years, I definitely want my music to be generating me enough money for me to be able to live off of my music and for the music to be able to pay for itself, and also be able to perform shows with, maybe not selling out stadiums, but good-sized venues with people who actually want to come and listen to me rather than me singing. In Poland, we have this saying, singing to a meatloaf. So it's kind of like...
I didn't know where you were going. I did not expect that to come back. I have nothing for that. I was expecting this insightful. Like, teach a man to fish, and forever you... No. Just call. Okay. Singing to a meatloaf. Okay. What does that mean?
It just kind of means, when people are there having their lunch or eating at a restaurant, and then you're just there in a corner singing, like it's also a vibe.
Right.
But I just don't feel like that is something I would want to be doing. Like, if I want to perform, I want people to be there for me and not me being a background noise.
No, yeah, but original music, like you can play covers in the background, but like as an original artist, like I don't want you like engrossed in a conversation over a plate of spaghetti when I'm like pouring my heart out like 10 feet away from you. Nobody wants
exactly.
That. I think it's crazy. I have a theory. I feel like nobody starts out. You always start out with the blind optimism. I'm going to be a star. But I don't think people start out like, all right, I'm going to be this huge mega star. I think you start doing the work, and then as people respond, it like slowly kind of becomes its own thing. And the people that get big are obviously they're propelled by like the machine. I'm like crying still. They're like, the machine kind of like pushes them forward, you know what I mean? So they almost like get big, not from their own volition, but like inducted into like the next stage of management, for lack of a better term.
I definitely see that. And like even some artists that are, supposedly just blew up on TikTok and they were just indie and suddenly everyone hears about them. I mean, I don't believe that. Like, I'm sure there are some, but those that are achieving like incredible stardom,
yeah,
I don't know if I believe that it's just them having a TikTok pop off and there was no one on the background, making that happen from an agency. So
I don't think it's just the music either. I think that there's people making decisions like, all right, what's next up? We haven't had a black female rapper. We're about ready for a new one. Who's popping right now? All right, let's put her in the machine. And then you have your artist, not saying that they weren't good on their own, but there's choices being made that are beyond either of our control.
For sure. And it feels like there's a hunt for the next Britney right now, right? And there are artists coming out that they are trying to frame like, oh, this is the Britney Spears of our generation.
It feels like Tate McRae was like next up. She's still touring now. She still might be, but.
Yeah, or Addison Rae.
Yeah, her
but, it's like, yeah, their music is good. They are great dancers, they're putting on a show. It's great, but I don't know. I don't see anyone ever being to be able to replicate Britney in the kind of cultural impact that she's had.
Well, it's subjective because she's our age, Like when Britney Spears came out, I think we're only like, she's either 2 years older or 2 years younger than me. So when she came out, it was like a girl who looked like a girl at my high school, but not quite. So she was packaged in like my little 17-year-old fantasy. And it was like, even though it wasn't my kind of music, it felt like it was kind of speaking directly to me. So it's like the artists that came out in the 90s will always feel like that to us, What's interesting is the artists that really went like meteoric. Now I'm old enough I kind of remember their rise a little bit, And it's like you take an artist like, are you familiar with Kings of Leon? Sex on Fire, You Somebody.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, they're fantastic. But I remember hearing Sex on Fire on a cassette maybe 18 months before Only by Night came out. I'm like totally dating myself. But yeah, on a cassette before Only by Night came out. And somebody was like, dude, I just saw this band in Boston. And they weren't the kind of guy, I'm looking at them. I was like, I don't even think they think they're going to be huge. But I heard this song and I was like, oh my God. They played Philadelphia and it was like, and they played like one of our smaller venues. And they were like, I could have like thrown a football to the front of the stage and like they caught it. Like it wasn't super crowded. It was like, but you could tell it was something special. And then those concerts started getting more expensive. Fast forward to stadiums, fast forward to the big amphitheaters, where they play now, headlining festivals. But I remember that rise being like very organic until it wasn't. And then the best songs were still a lot better than like the commercial albums. But by then they were already playing the stadiums. They were already minted, So I think it kind of happens kind of like that. Like you get your cult following and then somebody reaches down and be like, hey man, you want to play the Link? The Link is our football stadium. Hey, you guys want to be the biggest in the world now? And then somebody makes a decision and then the machine gets under you and all, the tide rises, And
okay, yeah, interesting. I see that for sure.
I could also
but what you said that Britney, because we grew up with her, but like I see this generation's artists of that impact as Billie Eilish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, when Billie Eilish came out, like she came with this new sound, this different way of singing, and suddenly everyone wants to be the next Billie Eilish. And also, someone younger than Britney but older than Billie Eilish is The Weeknd and Lana, where they both had come up with something that is not, reinventing the wheel, but it's fresh enough and different enough that everyone tries to copy them to a certain extent. So hence why I'm saying like, they're going to try and find the new Britney and then the new Lana, et cetera, but they can only be the one original, so to speak.
Well, I don't think it might not be like the next Britney as in like sonic aesthetic and like actual image, but like that same kind of like almost like adolescent impact. You know what I mean? That like, it feels like it could be like disruptive, Like one of those artists that comes in and it's like, oh, I don't even remember what music was like before they got here, Now, do you think artists can still impact that way with music being so tribal now because there's so many options, Like when I was growing up, you saw music on MTV, the radio, and like you might get like a Michael Jackson video on like ABC. Like it would like that was like we actually had huge mega celebrities. Now everybody has like their own like tribe of followers. Like, are we ever going to see an artist of that impact, like a Bieber, like a Taylor, like a?
You mean from this newer generation coming in, like not the ones already existing?
Like an artist that can there be an artist that comes out in 2026 that will be as big as Michael Jackson was in 1994?
I think so, but also I guess it's harder to please everyone, and access to music is, much different, that everyone can listen to everything. But I guess it just depends on what the machine decides, because sometimes I'm hearing songs on the radio that are being pushed onto us, and I'm like, this definitely isn't the best thing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, they're new songs and they're all right. I'm not saying they're bad, but I can hear so much better music from indie artists. And even those artists that they are pushing have better music in their catalog, but that isn't being pushed in the same way. When you listen back to like the artists you love now, you listen to their first albums and they sound so different and they're so much more interesting to me, for example, than listening to their latest, which, is them being megastars and doing whatever I'm guessing the execs are telling them to do.
Yeah.
But we did see something interesting with Charlie XCX. She's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. She's been doing music for so many years. And then Brad comes out and just like becomes an obsession. So many people loving that aesthetic, that vibe. And then now her, doing a lot of stuff, the Wuthering Heights soundtrack.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see that, you can be someone who's been around for a while and then you pop off. But the same happened with Sabrina Carpenter. She's been doing music for a long time. And then a song comes out and everyone just loves it. You suddenly get this completely new, rebranded artist with a new sound. Because if you listen to Sabrina's older stuff, it's not very similar to what she's doing now.
I don't even know anything pre-espresso. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't either. And then I listened and I was like, okay, I mean, it's a different vibe. But now she's definitely leaned into the espresso kind of type of music. Mm-hmm. And it only makes sense if you want to stay at the top.
And that's what we were talking about. Like, it's like, all right, do you want to be the biggest artist in the world? Like, here's your sound, I wonder if do you think we were groomed that way because we were raised on alternative music? Like, I feel like we're like the only, well, not the only, but I feel like if you're a music lover, you're going to gravitate from stuff like away from mainstream. So you're always going to have a sound for alternative stuff. Therefore, you'll like artists deep cuts. You'll like artists that don't have 1 million followers. You'll be so much more open to things that don't have like top tier production, but have like that raw emotion and that kind of like almost like grassroots following. So therefore, our ear is trained to enjoy more, I guess, genuine or more less mainstream music because of the way we came up.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I remember like looking for, downloading music illegally on my LimeWire.
Dareen, no, you didn't.
Like it was music that wasn't really available to just buy, like, because they were, indie alternative artists a lot of the time that you couldn't just go to a record shop and buy their CD easily. But no, what I'm trying to say is like, it was a fun thing to be looking for these bands and discovering their music and going on MySpace. Whereas now I just feel like you go on TikTok and whatever is trending and the sound that's being pushed is what is, happening. And I, from the perspective of someone who is actively trying to promote their music, I almost don't feel like people are trying to discover new and like smaller artists, beyond what is being spoon-fed to them. I don't know if that's something you might have noticed too, if you have the same impression, but from, like, of course, I'm not saying everybody. There are people who still like to discover their own, what they want to listen to beyond what's in the mainstream. But like, I guess when we were younger, we would call them hipsters. People were like, oh, I've listened to this before it was popular.
No one heard of this band. You were like proud to find this diamond in the rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I would need to speak to someone of this younger generation and hear their thoughts on that matter. So maybe that's what I should do some market research on. But yeah, it does sometimes feel like there isn't, that push. And I wonder if it's because we were raised on that and we didn't have access to just anything. Because like, unless you were on MTV looking at music videos, like you mentioned, or you turned the radio, or you were lucky to have certain, CDs or cassettes at home, then, it wasn't as easy as today to just find anything.
Well, I think for indie music to thrive, there has to be a scene, and if there's no scene, there's not really a way to engage on a personal level. Like the reason these, like, you see these like punk scenes thrive is because like every city has like that one like dirty underground, bar scene where everybody dresses the same, looks the same. So then you have like your top of the food chain band, but then you have the 10 sons, the 10 offspring of those bands, those other 10 acts, So that's how you get these like factions of indie artists that are all like under the same umbrella of a Seattle scene, a New York scene, a Chicago scene. Well, like hip hop was like that, like you'll have like the guy that's the best, and then you'll have like the 5 or 6 guys that sound like the guy, and then the guys that open for the guys, So now you have these 30 artists that are all like independent, but it's a scene and everybody shows up, everybody supports, maybe not supports each other. There's a little bit of hate, but like, but everybody shows up and is like a part of this like thing. Yeah. I don't know if the younger generation has scenes per se, like places where you just showed up because you liked being there and the music was almost like a byproduct of the scene.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say because where I am, there isn't much of that.
Yeah. I don't see much here, and I'm in Philadelphia. I don't see much of it. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's that much live music going on as there used to be, and if there is a demand for it, so to speak, like the kind of more underground live music. Like people are still going to concerts every single day, and fandoms and whatnot, but I feel like there isn't as much there isn't as much like push to be a hipster anymore.
Yeah.
We need to bring hipsterism back.
Me and Dareen are going to personally bring hipsterism back. That's kind of what this show is. These like obscure artists being like, okay, look, I love your music. If we record an interview, maybe, other people will love your music too, Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the best thing we can do for one another, and that we appreciate these things and people actually wanting to hear what I have to say, which I guess, it's easy to fall into the trap of like, okay, I want to be on the TV interviewed by, I don't know, MTV. I don't know. Do people still watch MTV? But
no, I don't. What I'm trying to say, like, music? I don't think it still has music.
Just Pimp My Ride.
I think it just shows.
My Ride. No, but of course we like have these aspirations, but then sometimes I just sit back, think about it. I'm like, wow, there are actually people who are taking the time out of their day to listen to my music. There's people like you who are taking the time of their day just to listen to what I have to say and asking me about the music I create. So yeah, all in all, it's amazing. Like just the fact that a few years ago, I didn't have a single song out there. And today I have this whole new universe and world of musicians and friends. And yeah, so I'm just trying to say I'm grateful for everyone listening to me and paying attention.
I think that's more valuable than even you believe. I mean, to hang out in a position of like, it's hard to have gratitude when you feel like no one's paying attention to you. But like, it's pretty cool that we do get to like go into a room where nothing existed but an idea in our head, and we pound on some keys, talking to a microphone, and from nothing comes this piece of art. And when you kind of hang out there, it's pretty freaking amazing.
Also, like the trajectory it puts you on in terms of the people you start talking to and the people you start meeting, and like your world just expands in a different direction. Like I now have friends who are photographers and videographers and DJs and other musicians. And it all happened because we connected, because I wanted to collaborate on something relating to my music. So it does change your world and the kind of people in it. And you start living a more artistic and just, if you are into arts, then it will be fuller life and world for yourself. And like, I don't know if you know, but like I mentioned, I had the album release party. And I literally had Kaylee fly in from the US to join me and open for me at the album release party. And we have never met before in person. We've met through music, we collab together, we talk every day. But, this was our first time actually her flying in and meeting me in person. So it's like, I wouldn't have never met this person if it wasn't for me making music.
Oh, I love it. What's her name? Yeah.
Kaylee Wilson, yeah.
I gotta check out her stuff.
Yeah, Kaylee is the person that we have Good Enough out together. So she's the second voice on Good Enough.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check her out for sure. That's awesome. For you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody who isn't as emotionally mature or have as healthy a perspective as you, that's doing music, but they're just discouraged? Like no one's paying attention, no one's listening. It's hard for whatever reason. What advice would you give that person?
It's a funny time you ask me this because these are some thoughts I've been battling myself recently, because it's like, it happens to all of us, right? Mm-hmm. And even with all the gratitude I have, I am still experiencing these thoughts. So I think an important thing to understand is like, this will happen to you, even if you're emotionally mature or not, like you will have self-doubt days and wondering what's the point. But I would say the advice is that, what is your driver for creating this music? Are you doing this specifically because you want to become a star, because you want to be famous? Or is it because it's truly a passion? Because if it's a passion, then the main thing you should focus on is the creation. Because like I just said, I've been having, some period post-release blues where all the hype wears off and you're starting to wonder like, what's next? And my producer sent me some beats to have a look at, and then I got inspired and I just got back in the flow and I got my spark back, and I was like, you know what, this is what it is about. It's about actually creating and not all the other things that we're chasing, which I get it. It's hard when you go online every single day and you're bombarded with Instagram and TikTok music marketing gurus telling you how many videos you should be posting a day. And then you're always feeling like you're not doing enough and your content isn't doing enough. But at the core of it is, you need to, it's self-expression, right? You're creating music because you want to express yourself and you want to create art. So I would say, when you're feeling shitty, just go back to making music until you feel like yourself and you have your spark again.
Yeah, that's so interesting. The analogy I use is almost like a wedding, right? You have this awesome person and you guys are just like normal people, but to cement this union, you're going to have this $40,000 party with a bunch of planning. And as you're doing it, you're like, I don't even know who this person is, making these plans and these arrangements and everything. And then you do it. And you're like, dude, I don't even recognize this person in the house with me right now. We've been wrapped up in this project for the last, 6-7 weeks of planning and spending money we don't even have, and like the stress and anxiety of it. And then you have the wedding, and you have the emotional peak, and then it just ends. And then you have to like just get back to who you were again. Like you have to like stabilize and be like, oh yeah, this is why we hooked up, because of how I feel now when we're like just eating breakfast and giggling. It's kind of like that's like that with the music, when you're just in the studio and yourself, like that's what it's about, not the follows and the likes.
I know it happens to many famous pop stars where they like talk about how, you go you perform at a show and then you have thousands of people cheering you, and then it's over and you just go back to being a person, right? And it's like, it's going to happen to you whether you're at the top of the world or whether you're small potatoes. The calm down is going to happen. So it's all about realizing why you're truly in it for. I mean, of course, it's, the money I'm sure is great. But on another hand, like being such a star, you're never again going to have privacy.
Yeah. It would be nice if we were compensated relative to our effort and investment almost like how a regular job is. You put in like 8-9 hours of hard work. There's a dollar amount correlating with that effort and hard work. And as artists, we can put a year of hard work and effort in and still be in the red, you know? And just
Yeah.
that mental turmoil of like, yeah, I know we're not doing this for the money, but I'd sure like to keep these lights on and be able to still keep playing my guitar, you know?
We would love to get paid and make money and then, get the wealth that comes for many artists, etc. But I think like even if you don't get there, it's just the payoff of creating something and having something to show for it. Like, you put out a song, it's forever there. Something I like to talk about is like my dad was an artist and he's no longer here, but I still have his art pieces and, something to remember him by. So I like to think like one day when I'm not here anymore, my kids and grandkids will be able to listen to my music. Some of them might be a bit awkward.
Let me find out. Grandma was hot. Let me find out. Is this you, Grandma?
Yeah. But my cousin sent me a video the other day of her little 1.5-year-old kid. And like power comes on and she just gets so excited and starts clapping and like dancing to it. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is worth like so much more than the likes and the streams and whatever. I mean, those are nice too, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sometimes I need a little social validation still at my old age.
Yeah. But I think at the bottom of it is like we need to learn how to validate ourselves too, and not only rely on the external validation, because it's easy to just get someone to shake up your confidence, and people love to do that on the internet.
Absolutely. What's the best way to support you? I mean, can I get my goddess t-shirt or sticker or mug or do you have vinyls? Like what is there a link to the store that you'll be able to put in the show notes?
Yeah, sure. So last time you asked me if there was merch, there wasn't, but this time I'm prepared. You can get a goddess t-shirt. Yeah. It's either available on my Bandcamp, where there's a more limited selection, or on my Printify shop, which is dareen.printify.me.
Okay.
And there are separate stores for Europe and the US.
Okay.
So if you're based in the US or Canada, go for the US shop because then the shipping is cheaper. If you're in Europe, then you can select the others. If you're anywhere else in the world, just DM me and I'll see what I can figure out, because I have a few t-shirts with me.
Okay.
So yeah, you can buy my merch. You can buy my manifestation journal if that's something you're into, because I created that. Or you can buy my music on Bandcamp. Or just, listen to my music and tell everyone about me.
I certainly will. You're not just a gem to listen to, but a gem to just know as a person. I hope that all your wildest dreams come true and more. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun to catch up. And yeah, I hope all the best for you and for the show. And let's hope that it, booms up and everybody who's ever been on this podcast becomes a star thanks to you.
Let's go. I love the sound of that. The rest of you, thank you so much for tuning in. You can check us out Thursdays. I always put a new episode up at 7 a.m. And if you like what you've heard here today, please, by all means, tell somebody who loves music.